Have you ever been stuck in traffic and just wished you could, I don't know, fly over it all? Well, that dream is getting way closer to reality than you might think. Today, we're jumping into the incredible world of electric air taxis and asking the one question on everyone's mind. When do we actually get to fly in one?
Okay, so you've seen the sleek, futuristic designs online, you've heard all the promises about a commute with zero traffic, but what's the real story here? Let's cut through all the hype and get down to the actual timeline for this revolution in the sky. So let's just get right to it. The verdict is, you might be able to take a flight before 2030, but a full-blown citywide network of flying taxis, that's definitely a story for the 2030s. So now let's dig into the why and break down the huge hurdles we still need to clear.
But before we get into all the challenges, let's get on the same page about what we're actually talking about here. Because this isn't some sci-fi fantasy anymore. It's a whole new kind of transportation with a very specific job to do. Yeah, forget about long-haul flights. We're talking about the ultimate airport shuttle, or a crazy fast way to zip across town. These things take off and land vertically, just like a helicopter, but they're designed to be way, way quieter and totally electric. And they come in all shapes and sizes. Some look like tiny planes with rotors that tilt, others look like massive drones. But it's all part of this thing called urban air mobility, and it's really poised to change how we get around our cities.
So, what's the biggest roadblock? Honestly, before a single one of us can take a flight, these brand new aircraft have to get the official green light from safety regulators, and that is a huge deal.
It's basically a triple lock system. First, the actual design of the aircraft has to be certified as safe. Then, the factory that's building them needs its own approval. And finally, the company that's actually running the service has to be certified, just like any other airline. And here's the part that's really fascinating. The rule book for all this is literally being written as we speak. You can see right here, the major players like the FAA in the US and EASA in Europe are finalizing the guidelines this year and next. They're tackling these incredibly complex problems like, how do you manage air traffic at low altitudes? What kind of training do the pilots need? Getting this done is what's going to pave the way for those first aircraft certifications in the mid-2020s.
Okay, so let's say you've got a fully certified aircraft. Awesome. Now what? You can't just land it in a Costco parking lot. The next massive, and I mean massive, hurdle is building the actual sky highways, all the infrastructure you need to support this.
And this is a monumental challenge. We're not just talking about a few landing pads. We're talking about a whole new network of things called vertiports. Think of them as mini airports, all integrated with the subways and bus stations we already have. It's a logistical and financial puzzle on an epic scale.
And this right here really captures the tough spot that city planners are in. On one hand, you've got this incredible promise of cleaner air and way less traffic, but on the other hand, you've got very real new concerns about noise, safety, and making sure this amazing technology helps out everyone, not just the super wealthy. And that brings us perfectly to our third major hurdle, the down-to-earth limits of technology and, well, money. Look, the tech is absolutely incredible, but it's still bound by the laws of physics. Battery life is a huge bottleneck. It's what's limiting flights to shorter hops right now. And these things have to be practically whisper quiet if they're going to get public approval to fly over our homes and offices all day. This quote from an industry analysis just hits the nail on the head. It's not a lack of imagination that's holding things back. It's the cold, hard reality of engineering and safety.
Okay, so let's talk about the money. Right now in 2024, the urban air mobility market is already worth a pretty hefty $4.6 billion.
But get ready for this. By 2035, that market is projected to absolutely explode to over $41 billion. That is almost a tenfold jump in just about a decade. You can just see that explosive growth right here. The investment is pouring in from all over the place. Tech companies, car companies, you name it. But what this also tells us is that the real commercial boom, the point where it really takes off, is still a few years down the road.
So what's this all mean for your wallet? Well, when these services first launch, they're going to be a premium thing. Think competition for helicopter rides or those high-end black car services. That dream of an affordable air taxi for your daily commute, that's a goal for the 2030s.
All right, let's tie all of this together. We've looked at the rules, the infrastructure nightmare, the tech, the money. Now let's get back to our original question and answer it for real. When do we fly? So the big thing to remember is that this is going to happen in phases. We're going to see the first certified aircraft really soon. That'll be followed by some pretty limited services in a few lighthouse cities. Think places like Dubai or LA that are really pushing for it. But a truly widespread, interconnected network, that's a project for the 2030s and beyond.
You know, this is probably the best way to think about it. First, you have the buy a ticket moment. That's just around the corner. Then you have the see them regularly moment, which will probably happen a few years after that. But the normal commute moment, where hopping in an air taxi is just another option, like taking the bus or the train, that's the story for the next decade. And that's our explainer. The flying car is officially no longer just a dream. It's an engineering reality. The question isn't if anymore, it's when. And the answer to that question isn't really up in the sky, it's right here on the ground, as our cities figure out how to deal with the huge challenges of regulation, infrastructure, and just plain public acceptance. Thanks for watching.